You're watching TBT here on ESPN, the 2019 version of the basketball tournament, as we return from Memphis and the El Marrone Fieldhouse, the top seed Gael Force, and the 8, the Jackson, Tennessee Underdawgs. Welcome you courtside, folks. Matt Martucci, the former Liberty Flame, Tim Scarborough. We already have one of what is 4 first-round games in the books here. We get to see the #1 seed, Gael Force, who traveled almost 2,100 miles to get here to Memphis, Tennessee.
They did. You know, geographically speaking, they probably should have been in Salt Lake City, but the dates didn't work out. But I think that works to their advantage. They're playing in a region that is certainly winnable, but from what we saw in the previous game, don't hold your breath on the higher seed winning. Even this 1-8 matchup, Tooch, this is going to be a pretty solid game. Contrasting styles, a really big team by St. Mary's, the Gael Force team, and then this Tennessee team, this Jackson, Tennessee team is small, but they're energetic. They will push it. They will come at you in waves, and they've won games in TBT before, so they know how to win.
Into what's game 2 of round 1 of what's a 3-week winner-take-all $2 million tournament. Gael Force and the Jackson Underdogs, Team Arkansas and Louisiana United still to come, and Bluff City, everybody's favorite hometown team, against a team what is 9-0-1 in that 7th seed. So a couple of Memphis-based teams in that nightcap. But first, Gael Force against a Jackson, Tennessee team as we take a look at our starting lineups presented by Air Force Reserve. It's a Jackson team that could very well, as you say, potentially pull an upset. Guard-heavy lineup for the Gael Force, and the name that we recognize most out of all those, the big man, Omar Samhan.
Yeah, right in the middle of your screen right there, number 50. He's a terrific player. We remember him from the 2010 Sweet 16 team for St. Mary's, and he was kind of a household name from that point on. But he's a terrific WCC player, one of the best to ever play in that conference, in my opinion.
61 points in 2 tournament games during that Sweet 16 run. And the starting 5 for the Jackson Underdogs, Jalen Barford, who just a couple years removed from playing for Arkansas in the SEC, and has had some NBA Summer League stints. This a bunch of former high school teammates, guys who played against or with one another in high school.
But familiar nonetheless, yes. And again, we talked about, you know, this is their 4th year in TBT. 2016, they lost to the Bradley Alumni team. 17, they lost to the Banner Boys in the first round. That was a tough loss in the first round. And last year, they made it to the regional 2nd round before losing to Jimmer Fredette on Team Fredette. And remember, last year, Jimmer played, he got them to the final game, or to the final 4, I should say, the last 4.
Yeah, 4 wins for Team Fredette. Gael Force in the blue, Jackson Underdogs, who were 70 miles east of their hometown, or I should say 70 miles in the opposite direction of their hometown.
That would be west.
West, yes it would. The 2nd largest city in West Tennessee. They're ready to go. Samhan jumping it up against Pelham.
Considerable size advantage at nearly every position, but as they say, sometimes size doesn't matter.
General Manager Darius DeBerry putting together the Jackson Underdogs. It was estimated by some TBT staff members have probably played over 500 games together. Barford wasting no time there on the board.
And it's interesting when you see guys like Barford, there's an alumni team in this region, Team Arkansas, that he could have played with. You always wonder why certain guys don't play with their alumni team. Josh Selby is a prime example, not playing with that Kansas alumni team. He's playing with Team Florida TNT in the Greensboro region.
Early on, pace-wise, this playing exactly the way Jackson would like it to. Gael Force speeding up, I think, a little bit more than they would like.
And I was going to say, Jackson almost makes you play fast because of the way they play. But take a look at Barford off the dribble, little spin cycle, step back, pull up, little sweet roll at the end. But that's a great start for this Jackson, Tennessee team. the Underdawgs, appropriately named.
Jalen Barford off of a big TBT 2018 campaign. Averaged 16.5 points a game.
Of course, this is a St. Mary's Gale Force team. All alum, every player, a St. Mary's player.
Here's one of them, Joseph Rehan. And Samhan tied up. Arrow will stay at this end.
And I believe it's one of the few alumni teams that are 100% alumni. Every alumni team, it seems, other than, and this is anecdotal, I haven't looked this up, but it seems everyone I see has at least 1 or 2 ringers.
And Dan Shell, the head coach of Gale Force, a former Randy Bennett assistant at St. Mary's, said it was his belief they are the only team with all alumni. O'Leary got caught up. The former St. Mary's forward. Whirling dervish for Terrius Johnson.
And you know, the Randy Bennett style will be deployed. You know, talking to Dan Shell, the GM who put this team together, you know, last year they got beat by a Everline Drive team that ultimately went to the final game. And Jerome Randall, the outstanding guard, was just way too much for these guys. They had nobody that could stay in front of him.
O'Leary on the speed up was able to get their first bucket.
So because of that, Tooch, Randy Bennett plays basically 0 zone. So Dan Shell was talking about maybe playing some zone when and if they get to the point where they have a guard like a Jerome Randall that is lighting you up. And there's something that Sandham didn't do in a St. Mary's uniform, but does to perfection here now.
And it makes sense for a guy who patterns his game after Brad Miller, the former Purdue and NBA's big man. He could step out a little bit.
How many guys say that, though? Who do you pattern your game after? Brad Miller.
Not everyone's first choice. Samhan grabbing the board and
Brad
over
Miller,
the back.
Of course.
Torrey Pelham on the foul.
No, but Sandham, his game has really evolved. You know, he's a banger, and he'll still do some of that. You'll see him throw his body around, but the touch, the feel of cotton on the perimeter from the big fella.
Playing on a Gale Force team assembled by Mickey McConnell, who's in that starting lineup, now is on Randy Bennett's staff. Mentioned Dan Shell. As Adgra Bobo checking in. Former JUCO All-American from Oakland Community College.
Yeah, you talk about this Jackson team. There are not a lot of Division I guys, NAIA guys. Lambeth University is about 4 guys play for them.
Samhan, second chance, and 5 straight for him. The Sandman.
Love that nickname, huh?
Bobo, stands still. Jawan Long gets the bucket.
You know, Sandman got hurt right there. Omar Sandham. You want to call him Sandman and Sandham, but he got hurt on that play, and really that was just kind of a free bucket for Long, and he took advantage. And now he's going to go to the bench.
Samhan sits down.
They don't get any smaller, though, do they? Evans Fitchner comes in.
Yeah, it's Robert Jones, who doesn't exactly look like his playing self anymore, but definitely a big body, and it shows. Too much movement for Jones and the personal.
That was an easy call for the officials, moving screen. And sometimes you can get away with a moving screen because you're setting what they call a slip screen, where you really just kind of pretend to set the screen and slip to the basket. That time he got caught in between setting a real screen and a slip.
Jones, he was guaranteed $200,000 if Gale Force does, in fact, cut down the nets here, TBT 2019.
You know, again,
share by Zell.
We go back to my overly scrutinized bracket, and I have Gale Force coming out of this whole thing, getting to the final 4 teams, the last 4.
It's very well written, by the way. I'm looking at your penmanship.
Oh, it's exceptional.
You have it courtside.
It's exceptional. But it was in pencil, and then I didn't make one erasure. I went with the original picks. I said, hey, my team's on the court, like in Hoosiers.
Weddle missed out of bounds. Another one of those D2 guys from Lambeth University. Actually said to be potentially their best player.
Yeah.
Alan Durham into the game. Power forward from Grace Christian. Again, these are guys who are 70 miles east of Memphis, their hometown, second largest city in West Tennessee. Mr. Johnny Cash made them popular, along with June Carter.
Love
the
it.
song Jackson. Just a few minutes into this opening period, and definitely more depth for the Underdogs. Gale Force with only 3 off the bench. Rayhan with the miss. Almost halfway gone here in the first quarter. Matt Martucci, Tim Scarborough. Round 1, game 2 of what's 4. Winner moves on to tomorrow, a pair of games here at Roan Fieldhouse. McConnell catch and shoot from where the big fish swim. Fresh shot clock. Jones.
But that is St. Mary's basketball, and it's Randy Bennett basketball in particular. And he was one of their first college coaches. You know, Rick Pitino did it really pretty early, but a lot of college coaches were reticent to get this whole space and pace, shoot a lot of threes, but St. Mary's has been doing that for many years, and we're going to see a ton of threes despite the fact that they have a tremendous height advantage.
Holt tied up with just over 4 minutes left here in our opening period. Gale Force the early lead. Jackson, Tennessee coming in with a bit of a chip on their shoulder, maybe bigger than a chip, the way it was described by their head coach and GM, Darius DeBerry.
5'4" Anthony Sampson into the game, number 3 for Jackson. Guarding McConnell.
Nice crossover for Holt. Couldn't get it to stick.
It's almost weird after that first game to see people sitting on the benches, isn't it?
Right.
Nice dive.
Southern Gents won with 5 guys. Durham gets his first bucket.
And me being a food guy, every time you say 5 guys, I think of the hamburgers.
Hermanson newly into the game, and the former sharpshooter.
Nice.
Still doing just that. Calvin Hermanson had 254 career threes in the West Coast Conference, the WCC. Gale Force extending its lead.
Shot 43% as a junior and 44 from downtown as a senior. Here he is.
And this time running the break.
High percentage indeed. Easy one.
5 straight for the guy with the specs. I'm not even sure you could pull those off, Scarborough.
The glasses?
Yeah.
No way. Not on the court.
Those are Danny Shays-esque.
Danny Shays, exactly. Syracuse.
Sampson off the front of the rim now. That would be Dolph Shays with
Dolph,
Syracuse.
exactly. You're right. Where did Danny play? Florida?
I forget where Danny went.
His dad, of course, is Dolph.
Syracuse Nationals, Dolph Shays. Hermanson, not bashful. And Bobo nearly lost it.
Yeah, there won't be a lot of hesitation from downtown from this Gale Force team.
Not at this end either. Weddle with a miss.
You know, you ask Dan Shell, you know, what are your team's weaknesses? You know, obviously they talked about not being able to guard Jerome Randall, but they're not the most athletic team in this tournament by far. But they are going to try to make up for it with precision shooting, and so far it has not been as precise as they would like.
Yeah, only 31% from the field, but up early here in our first round, TBT 2019. Gale Force, the St. Mary's alumni, by what's 4 here in Memphis. And a unique situation in that every player on this team did play for Randy Bennett and the Gales at one point or another. And formed by a text sent by one Mickey McConnell, who was in the starting 5 today. But all kinds of alumni from different years. And they're up against the Jackson, Tennessee underdog team that, just like them, very tight-knit, but played on a different level. Former high school teammates, and certainly take the term underdog to heart, Tim Scarborough.
How about that?
Bobo setting it up for Anthony Sampson, who's only 5 feet 4 inches tall.
If you're 5'4", especially against this team, you got to throw an eyebrow fake, a head fake. As a matter of fact, retreat. Do not try to shoot the ball in there.
Anthony Sampson's first trip into the game actually wears that number 3 because of a guy you and I used to watch in Philadelphia, the answer, Allen Iverson.
Okay. Nice play there.
Bobo sold the fake. He'll go to the line.
Now there's a player that you hear a lot of people say, I patterned my game after Allen Iverson. Miller, not so much.
No, not Brad Miller. Odger Bobo going to the line. JUCO all-freshman, Sam Hand back in, former NCAA tournament Cinderella star.
Yeah, that 2010 team, you know, a lot of schools will have their year where they kind of hang their hat, their whole program on, you know, the mid-majors. George Mason, 06, you think of VCU 2011. Butler with those back-to-back Brad Stevens teams that went to the Final Four. For this St. Mary's group, it's that 2010 team that made it to the Sweet 16. And a few of the guys in this game were on that team.
Hermanson with not a whole lot of lift in the corner. Second miss from the perimeter.
Nice.
And elevation, but no finish that time for Durham.
Left it short. Oh.
McConnell got his pocket picked, and the smallest guy on the floor, Sampson, capitalizes. I want to talk to Sampson. Knotted up inside of a minute to go, opening up our first quarter of play here in Memphis. And Bobo got his hand caught. Actually,
we'll take a look at the prior possession, a clean pilfer and an easy delivery. Sampson with the finish ahead of traffic. But it starts with just a clean pick from Jeremy Weddle. 5'4" guard. Another non-Division I player. And these guys are scrappy.
Zell Winnick share, $120,000. It's a nice chunk of change. Rayhan couldn't convert. Final 35 seconds. Weddle with a miss, has been cold to start early on. Fitzner, that's too good a look for him.
Splash. And you see, again, there's not even a look into the post with Fitzner nor Sandham right now. Those guys on the perimeter looking to splash like that. Great transition 3 there. Gael Force now 3 of 11 from downtown.
Bobo, 3 seconds. Nice dish. Durham just couldn't finish. And at the end of one, the top seed in Gael Force here in Memphis, the Sandman, Omar Samhan, and the former St. Mary's Randy Bennett coach squad getting all they could handle. Well, pick up all the latest TBT swag, tbtgear.com. T-shirts, jerseys, everything that comes with the tournament here in 2019, tbtgear.com. Tim Scarborough and I got our swag bags earlier.
Can't wait to wear it.
I know you were figuring out how to fit it in your carry-on for the ride home, but you have a couple days to worry about that. We're just getting started.
We still got time.
And we're into predictions. Here's the Scarborough Memphis All-Region team.
Yeah, we have Omar Sandham from Gael Force, number 50, right there, kind of underscoring that. But Rodney Clark from Team Arkansas, can't wait to see that shooting machine come out here on this court.
Samhan, too many steps.
Oh, they're going to call travel. Yeah, he changed his pivot foot. And Samhan hit that shot, but it does not count.
Omar Samhan, who, as you mentioned, becoming a little bit more perimeter-oriented as he's gotten a little bit older.
And the game has evolved even since 2010 when he was playing. You know, bigs are asked to do more perimeter stuff than ever before, both offensively and defensively. Nice take.
Rayhan, the former Boston College transfer. A couple years in Chestnut Hill, had finished up at St. Mary's. Just a loaded backcourt on this Gale Force roster, so cerebral.
2016 newcomer of the year.
And
here he is again.
Here he comes again. Beat Barford down, and 4 straight for Joseph Rehan.
A little leaky out the back door of that Jackson, Tennessee defense, and now another steal.
Quick hands, Spitzner and Rehan, and Barford.
That was a body check,
Yes,
Tooch.
it was.
That was more than going for the ball, in my opinion, but he did a great job of not reaching. But that is a body check. Take a look at the prior possession. A little change of pace and a splitting of the defense, a lack of communication and matchup, but then a leak out, and Joe gets to the rim a couple of times. Rehan, that time, the third time, got fouled as Barford was like, enough is enough of this guy.
And Joe Rehan, who played in Germany this past year. And they do, in fact, call it an intentional.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. That was my initial reaction, and I stand by that verdict.
So the flagrant.
Because it wasn't a basketball play. He ran through him. He threw his body into him, and that's not a basketball play. You don't typically see guys hip check a guy like that at full speed, maybe in the paint, and you think you can get away with it because of the crowd.
Yeah, flagrant 1, unnecessary contact, which is what you had.
Quite literally. Take a look. I mean, this is a body check run straight through him. He didn't wrap up on the tackle, but he does get a A for the technique other than the wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he was able to get him down just with the shoulder.
Yeah, right. That was a defensive back right there. I love this time of year for TBT, but let's not forget, football is around the corner, folks.
Yes, it is. Tim Scarborough, a Philly original, might be excited about some team in midnight green.
Absolutely. Keep that number 11 upright, please.
That's right. Early on here in the second quarter, the boys in blue on an 8-0 run. Gale Force.
Oh, he's out of it. Yep.
Too many steps for Holt.
Couldn't quite keep his feet, his pivot foot planted firmly.
And I think that's the product of being sped up a little bit. They have 6 turnovers already in this first half.
But the good thing for Gale Force is they're getting it done at the offensive end. There's not a lot of the defensive end, I should say. There's not a lot of easy shots for this Jackson, Tennessee team. They've been relegated to half court. They had a couple of runouts for buckets, but for the most part, they've had to attack a set defense.
And good step to the bucket. Terrius Johnson, who played Division I basketball at Eastern Kentucky.
And the WCW, one of the best mid-major conferences in the country, if you still consider them a mid-major. But I tell you what, Gonzaga, that's not a mid-major program.
No, not anymore.
And St. Mary's has been the one team that has even dared to challenge Gonzaga, and in fact has won the WCC tournament a couple of times. 2010 team, 2012 team. So you have some WCC champions on the floor here tonight. Nice pass.
An excellent finish. It's long. Back-to-back long buckets. It was Jawan the first time. Antoine, the brothers combining, and it's a 6-0 run in the last 50 seconds. Johnson hit with the personal.
Johnson didn't like it, but he did grab O'Leary's hand, his arm, I should say, and didn't allow the crossover, so a pretty solid call there. But the Jackson, Tennessee group on this 6-0 run, they've done it with energetic play at the defensive end, kind of turning the tables a bit on Gale Force.
Yeah, you talked about being able to best Gonzaga a couple of times. They did it just this past year by doing exactly what they do. Woo! Waiting for the best possible shot. McConnell turns it over. But their game against the Zags in early March, a thing of beauty, just the way that they executed and were able to build a lead throughout the game and hold on to it.
It really was. And the Zags were shell-shocked early on in that game, down by, 20-plus points. Able to come back somewhat, but they never could overcome that initial slug in the jaw.
Samhan from deep. Barford wants to run. The last 6 points for the Underdogs.
Great job of getting back and getting matched up by St. Mary's, by Gael Forrest.
A good help D that time for Samhan. Forced Barford into a shot that he didn't want.
When their defense has been set, they've been pretty solid. Here we go, inside. Go to work, big fella.
Samhan, and will go to the line.
And Pelham did everything he could. He's only 6'7". And you give a guy 5 inches and you get him 5 feet from the bucket, it's not much you can do, but a great delivery into the post to get Samhan the ball. So he'll have a couple. And again, Puma, for the second straight year, Tooch, has done a tremendous job with the designs of these uniforms. I'm loving this Gael Force uniform in particular.
Yeah, they look great. Hey, can we buy shorts? We'll have to ask. I guess at tbtgear.com, right?
You already answered your question right? With the prior promo. The better question is, will they give us some shorts at the end of this? I like freebies, Tooch. I like freebies.
I've worked with you a long time. I know you do. Samhan with both. And that quells the 6-0 run. Yeah, I don't know. Even if Gael Force wants to continue, as Fitzner grabs the board on the miss,
man,
they have some options from this past year's team. If Jordan Hunter, Jordan Ford, some of those guys want to play.
Yeah.
Contact, McConnell, too much, and the offensive foul.
And then prior to that possession, before they came on the half court, O'Leary had leaked out. And that has to be a concern for Jackson, Tennessee. The Underdogs are not sealing off the long pass. It's there. If Gael Force will continue to look for it, no one is getting back in transition to cover their basket right now.
Dayton Alumni team, by the way, in the Columbus Regional, all over the region. Foul on Gael Force here, hitting the glass, Terrius Johnson. Bigger picture, this is one of 4 regions that are taking place this weekend. 8 overall, the other 4 next week. The likes of Salt Lake City and Richmond.
Richmond is where you and I will be next week. I'm looking forward to that very much.
Yep.
Kind of an Atlantic 10 heavy region with George Mason, VCU, Old Dominion, who is a rival of those guys. They're in Conference USA now. The UMBC team, remember what they did in the NCAA tournament 2 years ago, upsetting Virginia in the first round, the first 16 seed to beat a 1 seed. So a lot of great subplots. Of course, George Mason, one of the few, and VCU, one of the few non-Power 5 teams that make it to the Final Four, historic runs.
And if you're in Syracuse, everybody's there for Boeheim's Army.
Yeah, man. Boeheim's Army.
Second most wins, by the way, of current teams.
They've had some success in this tournament, and they've never gotten to play at home. And, you know, Overseas Elite is in that Richmond region, Tooch. We could have, for the 3rd straight year, a Overseas Elite VCU Ram Nation rematch. But this time, it's going to be in the Siegel Center.
Fitzner got the bucket at the other end. Late addition to their roster. He's been a good one with 5 here in the first half. Bobo stayed with the play and dropped it off.
How about the energy, though?
Devon Jones with his first bucket of the afternoon.
This is what the Underdogs do to you, though. They're going to out-hustle you. They're going to play with more energy than you. They're going to try to speed you up. And then they're going to continue to play together because they know each other.
10th Gael Force turnover. McConnell.
That's a ton.
Yeah, led O'Leary too much.
That's a ton of turnovers. That could be detrimental.
Gael Force hanging on to the lead. But Jackson right in the thick of this here in Memphis. Now Jackson Underdawgs with a big challenge today against the Gael Force. The team trying to win some more games at TBT. Who has the most wins? Well, oversees a lead, but
far.
Boeheim's Army creeping up with
Your
12
boys,
of their own.
You being a Syracuse alum.
And Ram Nation, a team that we'll see in Richmond. Everline Drive is out there in Salt Lake City.
Ram Nation has only ever lost to overseas elite. They haven't lost to anyone else. So again, if they can get that matchup in Richmond, maybe they can turn the tables. But, you know, we talked about this Underdogs team, and we mentioned before the break that UMBC team that's going to be in Richmond next week, the first team there's a 16 to beat a 1. Well, in TBT, this Jackson Underdog team was a 16 seed in 2016, and they beat a 1, the Kentucky Bluegrass boys, 87-78. Last summer, they beat the Pitt Alumni team. So this team, they're underdogs, but don't count them out.
And Barford exhibiting that underdog mentality on the baseline.
And he is a dog indeed. A hog turned into a dog.
I like what you did there.
University of Arkansas, of course. Youngster, 22.
$120,000 his share by Zell. What would you do with 120K?
Man, there's so many things. Buy a whole bunch of more sneakers, I guess.
I'm saying what legal things would you do with $120,000?
Right. That's a very loaded question, Toots.
Within reason.
And within a family show?
Correct.
What would you do?
Student loans would be first, I can
Student
tell you
loans,
that. No more refinancing, no more consolidation.
Yeah, man. See, as a Division I player myself, that was not part of my equation. School was free.
Sampson got free, but there was a reason for it. And going down the other way. So turned over. And that now the 7th team foul on the boys from Jackson, Tennessee. It goes on Anthony Sampson. Mickey McConnell, way out. And Barford chases it down.
They do not hesitate if you give them any space. They're going to pull that trigger from downtown.
Mind ahead of body there for the former Razorback, Jalen Barford. Rayhan's had a good first half.
That pass and another turnover by Gael Force.
Behind Fitzner, Johnson laid it on the glass for Bobo.
Did he though? That was a wild, uncontrolled shot. Bobo, right place, right time.
Let's just say he set the table.
Yeah.
The table might have been dirty.
Unintentionally, he set the table. Yes, I'll give you that.
Someone once said, Tim Scarborough, you don't get style points.
Take a look at this, and you be the judge to see if he really set the table or if he was very fortunate.
Bottom of the board, you know.
Yeah. He said, go get this, go get this. I meant to do that, Pee Wee Herman.
By the way, Bobo resembles somebody who actually played in this tournament.
Who's that?
You remember Dwayne Jackson?
I do. He does. The hair, right?
The hair, and even the way he shoots, that flat-footed jumper.
Yeah. Bobo sporting the orange sneakers as well.
That'll go over well at this table. At least half of the table. Orange sneakers and orange socks.
Yeah, I'm a bit of, I used to think I was a sneakerhead until I talked to some of the kids today, man. They have hundreds of pairs of sneakers, and some of them cost $500–600. I don't do that.
But you do have 6 in your hotel room.
Maybe.
Sam Han, and too many steps again. 8 seed, giving the top seed everything it could handle here in Memphis. No surprise.
Yeah, as expected, right? This Gael Force team, of all the 1 seeds, probably perceived as the weakest of the 8, if we're being honest. But again, for me, I have them in my winning the whole region as well as getting to, you know, the last 4 teams in Chicago because of their ability to shoot. But man, I've been wrong before. They are in a fight right now.
Winding down the first half, I said to you in between games, isn't it amazing how many of these you and I have done?
Yeah.
Where it never goes the way we expect it to.
The unpredictability of the tournament.
Long putting them back in front. Antoine Long, who played at Division II Lambeth University, full-time insurance agent.
Off.
Samhan out of bounds, maybe settling a little too much from the perimeter.
And you know, one thing that we haven't talked about that makes the tournament unique is at the end of the game, when you win, you get to advance your team symbolically from in the bracket, the giant bracket that you can see to the left of your screen in the back. And that is something that now the NCAA teams have adopted a version of, much smaller board. But now you see that happening in the NCAA tournament. That is a TBT original. And of course, the board is reminiscent of the board in The Karate Kid for you movie buffs.
Wax on.
Wax on, wax off.
Timeout on the floor with just over a minute to go here in the second quarter. We've had runs of 8-0 and 6-0. But it's Jackson, the 8 seed, thinking upset. Long way to go, but throwing haymakers here in Memphis. The 8 seed Jackson Underdawgs up by a bucket here at Grown Fieldhouse in Memphis. Action in Columbus and Greensboro and in Lexington. 4 regions on tap today. Salt Lake, Syracuse, Wichita, and Richmond next week. And shot clock violation here for Weddle, and they give away the possession.
That was a really good defensive possession by Gael Force, though. And Joe Rahan knew that Weddle had to shoot. He crowded him and then tipped the shot. Really never had a chance.
Gael Force potentially take a lead into the break. Holt, some bounce game. Everything but the finish.
Left it short.
Bobo, maybe with numbers, but doesn't have them. Had to thread it in between McConnell and the turnover.
There was nothing there, but he jumped, so he's committed to it.
Hermanson got hit. Some contact.
But notice how this St. Mary's team gets back. There's no easy leak out. They had 3 guys back in a defensive stance. Very disciplined, well put together, well coached team as well. And if you're Coach Darius DeBerry for Jackson, the Underdogs, you have to like where your team is at. Up to maybe going into the halftime against the top seed in your region.
Rahan with 3 seconds. Nice improv, but Holt again with another bunny. His second miss in the final minute of play from short distance.
Man, Holt has smoked away a couple down the stretch here.
Now normally it's Samhan and the Gaels lulling people to sleep. The Jackson Underdogs thinking upset here in a region that could be full of them. Highlights coming in Memphis. And the Jackson Underdogs thinking about dialing up an upset. Up by 2 here at the break on the top seed Gale Force here in our Memphis Regional. Matt Martucci, Tim Scarborough in a back and forth first half where Gale Force got out early.
Jackson may be trying to dial up an upset, but they haven't done it from downtown. 0 for 10. But their counterparts on the other side have been splashing it with a bit of regularity. You saw Omar Samhan from downtown, and then Rayhan got it going in transition. Loose cannon here in the open. A nice finish there. But at the other end, the 3 wasn't going like we talked about. But man, do they get up and down in transition. And as a result, they got some easy buckets because they share the basketball. Johnson, recipient of a couple of nice passes and finishes. But neither team shooting very well, Tooch.
Yeah, especially for a team at Gale Force where you look up and down the line, how many high 30s, low 40s career three-point shooters they have.
Yeah, like guys that you can rely on, multiple, which is, again, what we talked about, the Randy Bennett way. Even the bigs can get out there and stroke it from downtown, but they have not been able to find the mark. But they're still a little better than the 0 for 10 from downtown that Jackson, Tennessee Underdogs have done.
The top seed Gale Force down by 2. 20 more coming here in Memphis. TBT 2019. Omar Samhan at Gale Force maybe getting a little bit more than they bargained for here in Memphis. Trailing the 8 Jackson Underdogs. It's a tight-knit St. Mary's team. Nobody else from the outside. No ringers, Tim Scarborough.
No ringers.
And Calvin Hermanson, one of the guys who's most recently, just in the last few years, had played for the Gales. Maybe they need to get Jock Landell out here. How about that combo? He and Samhan maybe potentially down low.
That would be formidable. But again, they still are about that perimeter.
You wonder, traveled almost 2,100 miles to get here. Will they have to go home, make that trip, just turn it around if Jackson is able to pull another upset? Something they've done before. Their TBT history, only been knocked out in the first round once. And this now their 4th appearance.
Yeah, and the more you play in the TBT, I know this is only a 6-year-old tournament, but it is different. It's a different brand of basketball because of the Elam ending, because of it's a combination of NCAA and NBA and FIBA rules. There's little things to get used to. And the more you play in this, the more you understand what it takes to win. Talking to all these GMs, teams, they look at certain things to try to put together. And cohesiveness is one of the things that they all talk about. And that's what this Jackson, Tennessee Underdogs team has because of the familiarity. They definitely share the ball. They play together. Defensively, they have a little bit of work to do in terms of transition, but they can make up for that with their energy level.
Energy is something that we always talk about, especially in the first round. When it comes to this 60-14, $2 million winner-take-all prize over the next few weeks, you have to want it from the get-go. And I think that's where Overseas Elite separates themselves so much, because there's never any ambiguity. Nothing is ever unclear with their desire, with their roles,
with how
everything's carved out.
Yeah, and you talk about people's roles, okay, and especially with these alumni teams, guys that were screeners and rebounders are now scorers sometimes because their game has evolved. But you have to allow those guys to do what they want, and vice versa. Guys who were scorers in college may not be the guy that you're relying on in the TBT situation.
They get O'Leary up in the air, and free throws coming.
That can't happen, though. He inbounded the ball from the half court, and got basically a layup, a no-no.
Terrius Johnson, he got on the board a couple times in the first half. Able to add to what's now 7 for him. By the way, Red Scare, the Dayton alumni team, bouncing a team that Tim Scarborough was pretty high on. The region, in the Columbus Regional, 108-82 behind 27 points from former Dayton Flyer Devin Oliver.
All right, in fairness to me, and I'm always trying to be fair to me.
To you, to no one else.
The region, I'm fair to everyone, but the region didn't have some key players, and I know that happens a lot. But Akil Mitchell and Jaron Johnson, and you think about what Jaron Johnson was doing last week for the Lakers Summer League
team.
He was balling. He wasn't just playing. He was dominating. So you're missing a guy like that. And I still think Akil Mitchell is one of the best players in TBT, the way his game has evolved since leaving Virginia. So they lose both those guys. And I feel bad for my good friend L.D. Williams, who for the second straight year got caught in a blowout situation when his team was favored. Remember last year he played for Wake the Nation, his alma mater, and they got beat in the first round by that Team Showtime team, thanks to the skills of Marcus Posley, who we'll see in the very next game, who now plays for Louisiana United.
Yeah, I mean, almost anybody that's been big in Dayton's tournament teams, the last few years, with the exception of a couple guys. Charles Cook isn't on that team, but Kyle Davis, V. Sanford, Kendall Pollard,
that's the
Kevin Dillard.
We talked about the signature teams. That Elite Eight is a signature team for Dayton, and a lot of them are in this tournament.
Samhan able to deny Pelham at one end. Jackson's still up by 2, though.
He had him at the basket. I wonder why Cook isn't playing with that Dayton team, though. He's a really good player.
Yeah, very good. Kevin Dillard, now that I think about it, not actually part of their tournament team, but just a very good scorer.
Yeah, no doubt. Take a look at this block at that end. Just a great play, a hustle play. This is a sure 2 points, but out of nowhere, Rayhan.
Rayhan able to block it towards Samhan. Contact, and drawing the personal is Holt on long. So how's your bracket holding up? Do you need a pen to check off for your pencil?
You know, since I put it in pencil, I could erase it, right? And write in the team that actually won.
Yeah, but you won't get any points for that.
But
at thetournament.com, if you entered the bracket challenge.
It is electronically saved. That is true. I'd have to hack into the tournament.
Good rotation. McConnell couldn't come up with that 3. Leaking ahead.
Another breakdown and another smoke of a layup. But they get the putback this time.
Torrey Pelham, who played his college basketball at Southern Miss in Conference USA. And too many steps for O'Leary, who's had a rough second half.
It hasn't been smooth other than getting out in transition for this Gael Force team.
Talked about Red Scare, other finals. Team Hines wins in Greensboro. So they move on.
That Team Hines team is for real, bro.
Yeah, they are.
Kyle Hines, I can remember I did one of his freshman year early games at UNC Greensboro. I was like, this guy shouldn't be at Greensboro. I mean, he is a major player. And for 4 years, he dominated and parlayed that into a very nice overseas pro career where he continues to dominate. Just an unstoppable force.
And we get another foul call. Gael Force trying to get back to the line. Team Hines led by Matt Lejeski today. Played his college basketball at Hawaii and had been playing over in Greece. Also a senior member of the Belgian national team.
Our guy Juan Dixon, the head coach of that team from University of Maryland, 2002. I would say that 2002 Maryland team is the signature team of that program, right?
I mean, unless you're going back to Len Bias, right?
Nah, because Len Bias didn't win a national
They didn't win a national title.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dixon, Steve Blake.
Yeah.
That was a tandem.
Baxter.
Lonnie Baxter. Was Mike Martisich on that team?
No.
He was not? Miss
He is coaching that team in Richmond next week.
Man, that team, you want to talk loaded, by the way.
Oh, it's good. That's why I got a lot of flack for picking them to lose in the first round.
Sam Hand, great help D. Barford rotating over. And with 9 on the shot clock, they'll keep the basketball. If you just joined us, the 8th seed Jackson led by 2 at half. And continuing to maintain here in game number 2 of our opening round here at the Memphis Regional. A lot of basketball left, but will the Underdawgs do it again? Round number 1 of what's 3 weeks worth of the tournament 2019 edition known as TBT. Winner take all $2 million tournament. And thinking about maybe a second upset of the day, the Jackson Underdawgs. Antoine Long couldn't convert. Gael forced with other ideas. It would have taken them over 30 hours to get here in the car. The flight home's a little quicker, but don't want to have to go home early.
But they didn't take a car, for the record, right?
No, and as far as I know.
Oh, about to get a touch.
Saved by the table.
And once again, you know, if I touch it, I'm letting it fly. That's what I do.
Quite the drought.
You got to give Jackson, the Underdogs, a lot of credit for making every pass and every shot has been tough. I mean, look at this. A little extra step there.
Yeah, too many steps for Fitzner.
See, to me, I felt like Fitzner established his pivot foot and stepped through with the other one.
I was about to say quite the drought. How about 0 of their last 9 for the Gael Force? Not a good time to go cold.
Yeah, that's recipe for disaster against a team that believes in itself like this Underdog team clearly does. As long as this game goes on and the Underdogs are ahead or even just close, the pressure mounts against this Gael Force team, who is the #1 seed in this region. Remember last year, Tooch, all 4 #1 seeds, of course there's 8 seeds this year, but 4 #1s all made it to the last 8 games, the last 8 teams.
Gael Force crashing the glass. Big follow for Johnson, and he'll go to the line.
Johnson has brought the energy at both ends, and now a technical foul
on Sam Hand.
Wow. So a little bit of falling apart at the seams, if you will, for Gael Force.
Now, you had said this region could potentially be the most vulnerable of the 4 that are starting this weekend.
Yep. Take a look at Johnson on the glass. Stick-to-itiveness. Gets the carom, goes up in traffic, a delicate smooch off the glass, and 1. And now he'll shoot the free throw, which he missed. But then he'll get 2 of those for the Tech. Well, actually, he'll get 1 for the Tech, 1 for the foul, and then they'll inbound on the side.
1 of 2 for Johnson, who's actually the only Jackson Underdog in double figures. For the former OVC member at Eastern Kentucky, made the all-tournament team during his senior year.
He actually got 2 for the Tech. Guess we're playing NBA. In college, that would be 1. So he made two of the 3 free throws, plus the bucket, a 4-point play by Johnson on 1 possession.
And point to that maybe as a potential backbreaker if Gale Force can't come back. McConnell got it blocked off him out of bounds.
Certainly a milestone moment that we will mark as momentum has clearly swung in the direction of the Underdogs.
Largest lead for either team has been 8, though Gale Force, it was the beginning of the second quarter. Jackson has been in command for a while. Johnson hit the glass, it trickles to Sampson, the find, and the bucket for Durham.
How about the energy though? They're 0 for 13 from downtown, but it doesn't matter because they are going to the glass.
8-0 run for the Underdogs.
And it's happened quickly.
Hermanson sent back, Durham with the block out of bounds.
The Underdogs have been impressive protecting the rim on these dribble drives. They have not allowed easy layups. Again, so good defensively on the half court.
Hermanson, and that'll quiet the run.
Boy, did they need that. Gale Force was reeling a bit, and you wonder when Samhan will get back into the game.
And Bobo with the footwork.
So much energy.
Adgra, nothing odd about that.
And Adgra Bobo just 2 for 9 from the field. And Barefoot 2 for 10. But they are keeping them in with the energy level.
Hermanson can't convert this time.
Here's Bobo in transition. Drop off.
Weddle. House would have come down. Plenty of fans have come out to support the Underdogs.
They sure have. And they are feeding off of that energy.
Can't wait, speaking of energy, for what's coming tonight. Bluff City, the 2 seed, is our nightcap. And Jackson, Tennessee, making a bid to stick around the Underdogs by 9 here in our Memphis region. Now, our In the Huddle is presented by Puma Basketball. And why not the Jackson Underdogs, the 8th seed. Nine-point lead for a group of friends from Jackson, Tennessee, 70 miles, what is east of Memphis.
They got to be feeling pretty good about where they are. Once again, we talked about that at halftime. They have pushed out that lead, but more importantly, they have made it tough to even get a good look. And another turnover by Gale Force.
Jeremy Weddle coming up with the steal.
16 turnovers now, 17.
The spin on the baseline, and Johnson gets the best of them again.
Johnson has gone to work here in the second half.
14 for Terrius Johnson. Fitzner can't match. Good save that time by O'Leary. The guard, Rayhan.
But that was the first really good-looking shot that they've gotten. A good opportunity where it's not a hand flying in your face, and Rayhan cashes it in.
We haven't even really talked about this off air. This feels like that this game has been played at Jackson's pace the whole game.
And they make you play that way. Foul there.
And the
Good
Underdogs
job,
take one.
Yeah,
Johnson.
it's a great foul. Contest the pass, and if you don't get the deflection, you get the foul. Negates a potential easy bucket in transition.
Terrius Johnson gets a well-deserved breather.
14 points on 4 of 7 from the field. He's come alive here in the second half. He's gotten himself to the line, 6 of 7 as well. Just 17 minutes of play.
And we mentioned OVC product. It's in school about the same time Andrew Wiggins was at Kansas. And the OVC, that profile of that league raised a little bit this year, thanks to some guy named Morant.
Yeah, who's coming to this city, right?
That's right.
The Memphis Grizzlies.
Number two overall pick in the draft. Dylan Windler was also a first rounder from Belmont.
Wonder if we'll see him this year or this weekend.
I was going to say, yeah. Well, we're hoping for a Butch McRae sighting this week. If you haven't seen the movie Blue Chips, Penny Hardaway.
Hardaway, exactly.
Foul on the rebound.
And Penny, of course, is the head coach now.
And they got O'Leary over the back, by the way. Yeah, yep. What a class he's put together, by the way, coming in.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. I can't wait. It's going to be exciting to see them.
Do you think Little Penny will make an appearance?
That's Tyra Banks, fool.
O'Leary draws contact. You wonder when the wake-up is going to come for Gale Force.
You know,
if it does come at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a given. They still have the fourth quarter plus the Elam ending. But again, with the Elam ending situation, you don't want this lead to bulge out. It's just too hard. Most of the games, and we have a very small sample size of Elam ending games, but the great majority of the games, the team who is leading when you go into the Elam ending is winning these games. So you want to at least give yourself a chance by staying close, giving yourself less of a hill to climb.
In Lexington, Loyalty is Love has beaten the Illinois Hoopville Warriors, 107-98.
Shootout up there, huh?
And former Marquette star Darius Johnson-Odom, 24 points. Pierre Jackson, 26 in that one. Fitzner with the shot clock cut in half. Nice find. Samhan couldn't get it to go. They wanted a goaltend call on Pelham.
No, but we're playing FIBA rules, though. Once that ball hits the rim,
anybody can play it.
You can play it, offensive and defense. There's no goaltending in that sense.
Bobo, no conversion.
Now, I will say, because we don't have the FIBA lanes, that you cannot do that on a free throw.
Samhan one-on-one, and again, he traveled.
Wow.
Looking at this officiating crew, and I don't think there's really anything to look at.
No.
Matt Martucci, Tim Scarborough, spent his playing days at Liberty. They didn't have this when you were playing college basketball. You would have participated, I know that.
I certainly would have. And Liberty, we talked about signature wins for your program. They got their first, we got our first NCAA win this year with a win over Mississippi State. Congratulations again to Richie McKay, head coach.
Fitzner bringing his team back.
So you'd say the 2019 Liberty Flames team is a signature team.
Absolutely. Thought they might even beat Von Tech in that second round game.
Me too. You know, Richie McKay is a former assistant for Tony Bennett. He was with Tony for 6 or 7 years and helped recruit this team that eventually won the national championship this year. Which is a great story, by the way. Losing to UMBC as the first #1 seed to go down,
and then
coming back and
flipping
winning
the tables,
and literally flipping the tables with the in terms of their outcome. But the way they did it, winning in the last seconds when they faced certain defeat multiple times. The Auburn game in particular, when Kyle Guy gets fouled shooting a 3 in the corner by Dowdy, a former VCU kid.
And a Philadelphia native.
And a Philly guy, yeah. I felt bad for him. And, of course, you feel bad for Bruce Pearl, but, man, what a game.
Ward with what was a good look. Haven't heard much from Michael Ward this game. Played his college ball in Jackson State in Tennessee. Shot clock about 5 seconds ahead of game clock. 7 to shoot, 13 left in the quarter.
Take him.
Barford, contact blocking foul on Gael Force and Holt.
And a bonus, though. He's getting free ones. And this is a low-scoring game, too, Tucci. And it's been primarily because of the shooting percentages of both teams. It has not been the most pretty. When you look at Jackson's 0 for 16 from downtown, yet they still lead by 6.
Two teams have combined to shoot 29.6%. Quick math.
Wow.
29 of 98 combined. And what is 6 of 40 from 3?
That quick math, was that electronic or was that the Tucci brain?
That was electronic.
Okay.
Laptops and calculators.
Because that was some pretty precise calculation.
Barford missed the free throw. We get contact, though, on the block out. Gael Force commits a foul. Looks like Hermanson.
Oh, man. And Pelham will be the shooter.
That's actually Rayhan.
Yeah, Rayhan committed the foul.
Jackson led at half by just a bucket. They've won this quarter.
Jackson's got 11 turnovers, but they like the pace they're playing. And they have really sped up this Gael Force team, as he missed a couple there. He missed 3, but wow. An unforced error there. Rayhan turns it over. So a last-second opportunity going into the fourth quarter for Jackson.
I don't even think we've realized how much of a discrepancy there's been on the offensive glass. 15 offensive rebounds for the Underdogs. Down to our final 3 seconds. Barford
couldn't split
and got stripped.
Oh.
And that's definitely likely a flagrant.
But it was a bad foul too. I mean, he's 70 feet from the basket. You're in the bonus. So every foul, they're going to give free shots, and it's point-something seconds left, and you commit that foul. Just not a good decision. And to add to it, it may be a flagrant. Let's see how they judge this. And I don't know if you can see which guys are the officials, because if you can't, you're blind because they have the big REF on the back of their jerseys.
And not a good decision by Pelham.
Yeah, that's just a poor decision.
And that's one of those where, honestly, you hook somebody like that, you could potentially hurt them.
Yeah, you can, especially when they're running. You can clothesline them like that. But the officials have done a solid job in adjudicating these situations, and there they deem it a basketball play and no flagrant. But nonetheless, 2 free throws with 0.3 seconds in a game where you could have gone up 8 or 9, but they missed 3 free throws in a row, or 4. And now they're going to give up ones that shouldn't be taking place here at the other end. Not a good finish for this underdog team in the third quarter.
Mickey McConnell to the foul line. By the way, for someone who was the WCC Player of the Year,
yeah,
Mickey McConnell has 2 points on the afternoon.
Yeah, that's remarkable. We have not said his name very much at all.
And that'll bring us to the end of 3. The Jackson Underdogs, a quarter and an Elam ending away from pulling a major upset here in the City of Blues. Start of the fourth quarter here in Memphis. Gael Force and their potential winning share sent with Zell on the ropes. This is what they'll lose if they go out. And if they would lose at any point, it's what they'd lose.
Yeah, that electronic transaction will not happen based on what we're seeing right now. Start of the fourth quarter, though. Plenty of time. Only down a couple of possessions, and we know the way they shoot the 3 ball, they're right in it.
Long with a miss. Jawan Long out of the gate. Former Murray State product.
Murray State has put some pros. We talked about John Morant, Isaiah Kanan,
yes, they
Cameron
have.
Payne. They've had some players.
They had a lot of guys this year outside of Morant, too, that got lost in the shuffle on that roster because of him.
Because of the attention that John Morant garnered. You're right.
Rayhan having a big afternoon, meanwhile. Jumps into double figures. He's the first member of Gael Force to get there. 10 for him.
And if Gael Force goes down in this game, you'll have to point to the 20 turnovers that they have. Plus, I mean, you've still got a whole quarter to play.
Rayhan spinning out of trouble. Hermanson wanted the tie, couldn't get it.
And the other thing is the lack of accuracy from downtown. Just 6 of 25 now from 3. Another contested one, though. They've done a great job of limiting their open threes.
Nice 2-game there, Pelham and Johnson.
That's just a pretty thread of a needle by Pelham.
16 now for Terrius Johnson. He's been their biggest bright spot. Holt, the extra pass, got it back. Still can't buy one.
0 for 7, 0 for 4, 0 for 4 from downtown.
And they commit a foul in frustration.
Having the game playing.
An upset at least by seed in game number 1. Southern Gentlemen knocked out Broad Street Brawlers, a team that had 6 TBT wins in its history. The Jackson Underdogs trying to bounce the top seed. We still have 2 more games to come. A good one in game 3, Team Arkansas and Louisiana United. And then the Memphis matchup in our nightcap. Bluff City against Team 901.
When you think about Steve Holt, he's a first-team all-conference player.
And a 38% career three-point shooter in college.
I mean, he was the truth. But today is not his day.
Not McConnell's either.
Yeah, man.
And out of bounds. That Holt-McConnell combination, a combined 0 for 13 from the field and 0 of 8 from the perimeter.
Wow. Again, of course, you give credit to the Underdogs, but man, this is a bad day for those guys. Nice.
Climbing the ladder, Pelham.
That was half-court ball screen offense. The ball screen was set at mid-court. He got all the way to the rim, and he chased it for a putback.
Big-time save, the hustle play for Terrius Johnson.
Turnover number 21. Unraveling right now.
Inside 2.5 minutes and a dead ball from the Elam ending. Add 8 points to the leading team score. And that becomes your target score. First one to the target score wins.
Tough pass, tough entry. And the timing of post entry, we don't see a lot of post feeds anymore in basketball. But if you're going to throw it in there, you have to recognize that the guy, if he's still in the fight for the position, you can't really deliver the pass because he may not have both hands free in which to catch the ball. That's what happened on that play and led to a turnover.
By the way, looking at minute management, the way that Jackson's done this with such a big bench, yeah. I'm impressed.
Yeah, me too. And
Barford running the break, count it, and he'll go to the line.
Barford got away with a push and a reach, but that's what they're letting them play. These guys are pros, like we talked about how these teams are assembled. They're used to the physical play, but that reach caused another turnover, and a costly one because it led to a bucket and a possible three-point play for Barford.
Jalen Barford, whose beginning started in Jackson, won a state title in high school, the West Tennessee Player of the Year. And one of those guys you feel might be on the cusp of playing in the 3-letter NBA.
Yeah, he's right there.
Samhan says hello for the first time in a long time. 12 now for Omar Samhan. Barford trying to match. Climbing the ladder, Durham got it stripped away. Hermanson.
That's where that lack of athleticism comes into play.
A minute and change and a dead ball to the Elam ending.
17 offensive rebounds now for Jackson.
Samhan pick and pop, couldn't get it to go, out of bounds.
They needed that.
I'm not sure if that didn't go off of McConnell last.
Yeah, and they're not under 2 minutes, or in this case, the Elam ending, so they can't review that.
Barford sits down.
And even in an Elam ending, reviews don't take place until someone is within 4 points of the target score.
McConnell and Rayhan, Omar Samhan, Hermanson and Stephen Holt, all St. Mary's alumni, all part of this 1 seed, all in danger of going down.
Oh, hard fall.
Rayhan drawing the contact.
So no bonus just yet, just the first team foul in the quarter.
Those who have made the 70-plus mile drive from Jackson not necessarily happy with the call.
And they have let us know verbally. Inbound underneath. And this is where being an alumni team, and especially one that's cohesive, you can get a bucket here because you know which plays to run.
The curl, McConnell got him up in the air.
Buckets.
Big bucket.
And that was a big shot. But
The
again,
trifecta.
it was a great opportunity to run something where they could get a great look. They got it, and they capitalized. Just a 3-point game now. Big shot.
First 3 of the game for Mickey McConnell.
For the first time, yet another offensive rebound. That's 18 now.
Long drawing it in. Setting up Durham. Shot clock winding down. It's down to 10. Bobo.
Nice pass.
And Durham denied by Samhan. REM sleep for the Sandman.
And Omar Samhan gave us the energy that we're used to. Take a look at, after he, on the prior play, it was actually the 3-point shot drawn up with that inbounds pass. But at the other end, Samhan, after he blocks that shot, he screams and brings that energy that we're so used to seeing from him. Big moment.
Holt got caught up. Quick hands for Sampson, the smallest guy on the floor. Johnson, the lean, nearly knocked in by Gael Force. Here comes Holt.
Here we go.
Dead ball coming and the Elam ending, but free throws first.
That was a good foul, though, because I don't think he was in the act of shooting. Let's see if he gets a a free throw here.
They're going to give it to him.
Wow, I'm not sure he was going up on that.
After these free throws, the Elam ending is coming. But Holt has a chance to make this a 1-point game.
Yeah, these are big, bigger than you realize. And this is a guy that has scored 2 points today, both from the free throw line. He's 0 for 7 from the field.
We were wondering, when was the wake-up going to come? Well, how about the last 148, the 6-0 run?
Missed the first one. You're right. Wake up at one end and Sandman putting him to sleep at the other. Makes 1 of 2.
And we're down to what's a 2-point game. Coming up, second one of the day here in the City of Blues. 58 is the target score. Who gets there first? Now the Jackson Underdawgs, no stranger to the Elam ending. They've won games before at TBT. Jalen Barford coming across the lane. Moved them to the second round, where they eventually lost to Team Fredette. The only 10 I see, the Jackson Underdawgs from Tennessee.
I love it. And I think that's what that number 10 is in the middle of that, right? It's got to be. Because that's the only 10 I see.
I think we've exhausted all of the cheese whiz out of the tube of cheese. Whiz without Scarborough.
I'm whiz and provolone, a double.
Can also go provolone or American without.
Or American.
Two Philly guys talking cheese sticks.
Always.
Target score is 58. First one to get there wins.
Pretty low target score, too, huh?
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of teams could potentially get there in a half of TBT basketball. Yeah. Bobo got caught up. There's a reason for it.
It has not been pretty, though, Matt. This team, both these teams, really haven't really taken care of the basketball. 23 turnovers for Gale Force and 13 for Jackson, Tennessee Underdogs. And then you look at the shooting percentages of both teams, neither exactly lighting it up. 29% for Jackson, 25% not to be outdone by Gale Force.
Express lane for Bobo, too many steps. And Jackson with what maybe could be a costly turnover. Neither team has done a great job taking care of the basketball. 37 combined. Gale Force with the 23.
And a lot of it is just the reaching that is allowed, you know.
Hermanson deep in the shot clock. Ooh, nearly got it to stick.
Nice box out.
Would have given them the lead. Bobo using the window.
So now it's not about the clock, it's about quality possessions. We are in Elam. There is no shot clock. No game clock, I should say. There's still a shot clock.
6 points away.
You see the reaching and the attempts at steals. The more you allow that, the tougher it is on ball handlers because you're allowed to kind of gamble and start reaching and reaching and reaching. And even if you hit a guy's arm and make them lose the ball, they're not really calling a foul. And you see him runouts at the other end as a result. Take a look at the prior possession. Bobo in the paint and a little kiss off the glass.
It's taken him 11 shots, but does have 10 points. He's the only other double-figure scorer for the Jackson Underdogs today. Shot clock down to 9 for Gale Force. McConnell caught up. Can Holt be the bailout? Contact, offensive foul.
Not his day. Stephen Holt. Wow.
And who's the one to take the charge? Terrius Johnson.
Terrius Johnson has been a tremendous factor in this game. We saw he got 16 points on the board, the leading scorer on his team, but here at the other end, sealing off the driving lane and drawing a big charge from Stephen Holt.
Now, there was a podcast for each region put together by the TBT staff as Barford brings them 2 points closer to 58.
That was ISO ball right there, and Barford delivers.
And on said podcast, a couple of the staffers picked Jackson as a team that could win this region. We're seeing it.
We're seeing it. There's no doubt. This team is for real. And whoever beats them, they're going to have to play an ugly game, and that's what makes them dangerous. They muck it up.
Terrius Johnson hit with a fourth personal. For time purposes, it doesn't really matter. But depending on how long this could depending on how long this could go, you do get 6 fouls. So not crazy foul trouble at this point.
So really, even if it's a guy with 5, you got to play him. What are you saving him for?
Yeah,
right?
You have to.
Because there's no moment where you say, all right, get this guy out of the game and then get him back in.
Yeah, because that could cost you the game.
Good. This is the epitome of crunch time. Elam ending.
The most unique of situations.
It really is. And again, what we talked about before, it eliminates the garbage play at the end of the game. The one team that's leading is not taking the air out of the ball. They're still playing offense trying to get shots. And the other team's not fouling trying to stop the clock. Most importantly, you get a walk-off shot every game. 4
points from an 8-1 upset. Johnson, and way too much. Bobo lost it. But Barford's there. Shot clock did not reset.
Didn't hit the rim.
Barford was backing up like that was going down.
He was feeling it. And they've been isoing him the last couple of possessions.
McConnell wanted some contact.
Yeah, he got pushed on, he certainly got bumped on the drive.
Rayhan stopped, got caught
Another
up.
deflection, another
Barford.
Turnover.
Wanting transition, lean in, and got it! He'll go to the line!
That was big time in transition by Barford. But once again, Tooch, it starts with the deflection, and then this in traffic, absorbing the contact and getting a friendly roll, much to the liking of this crowd.
The boys from Jackson, Tennessee.
1 point away now.
The Underdogs. Can they get a stop?
They're not underdogs at this stage of the game, that's for sure.
McConnell has been ice cold from there this whole game. Johnson got it tipped, and they move on. 8 beats 1 here in Memphis. Gael Force will make the almost 2,100-mile trip back to Moraga.
And that was a shellacking, Elam ending style. They put it on them. This was a close game going into Elam ending, but it was dominated by the Underdogs. Underdogs no more. They move on, and they are going to be a tough out tomorrow as well. Congratulations to them, Darius DeBerry and company.
So another TBT win for the Jackson Underdogs.
Wow.
Flipping the script on the Johnny Cash song. They came to Memphis to mess around.
Wow.
Look out, City of Blues.
And earlier, they walked the line, but they crossed it just now. That Elam ending was special for this group.
Put it up there on the bracket. The Jackson Underdogs do it again. For Tim Scarborough and our producer Shelby Wilson and our entire crew, Matt Martucci saying so long. We're coming right back. Team Arkansas and Louisiana United.